support our own. Educate the same empowerment at your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10, 3 PhDs that beyond the CNN. DBTV, talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Break it down here, I'm Dr. Boyce TV.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School. And I wanted to come in for a second to address this thing that really made me think a lot. You know, it made me think, because this week I was kind of looking at what was going on in terms of pop culture, because I'm headed to New York City. We're doing an investment seminar this weekend. If you guys want to come out, it's drboycenewyork.com. That's drboycenewyork.com. But anyway, there's this singer named Tank, and I don't really know a whole lot about Tank's music. I don't have no issues with Tank one way or the other, but I was real curious about some comments that Tank made, because, you know, you guys know I'm real concerned and real curious about the state of the black male in America. You know, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I really kind of think about, you know, where the black man's going and what we're kind of consuming, how we're thinking, where our energy is going, and what we're applying that to, and how we can best serve our people. And so I picked up this comment. I saw where he was doing an interview with Angela Yee from the Breakfast Club, and Hustle says, "Bro, tripping." What's going on, Kat and Janelle and Hannah? And he made this interesting remark about doing oral on a dude, right? I guess apparently they don't have any important intellectual discussions to have or any important topics to discuss. So why not start talking about, sex again? Because that's just, I guess, apparently that's all we think about, is sitting around figuring out how, we can make sure that all the STDs get spread around to everyone who wants one. And so they're sitting there, they were talking about, I don't know if you guys saw that. Anybody see it? Give me a yes or no if you saw the whole controversy with Tank, and what Tank sort of said when they were talking about sex. They were actually talking about men giving men special favors. Let's just say that. We might have kids listening. It's nighttime, so your kids should be in bed, but in case they're not in bed, I'm gonna try to be polite. I'm not gonna cuss. But y'all, I'm talking about men grabbing each other's, what's, and putting them in their mouths, and whatever happens, that's what they do. That's your business. And he made an interesting argument that that if you suck a man's, if you are a man and you put a man's, in your mouth, and you do it twice, that you're not gay. That that there's not, that apparently you're not gay. Now it's interesting. I sort of read through. I wanted to see what he actually said, so I didn't misquote him. And his argument is that gay is a state of being, and so if you did it and you didn't like it, then you can say, hey, I'm not gay. I tried it. I didn't like it, so I'm kind of moving on. Now, I want to ask you guys a question before we begin. First of all, hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done that. But second of all, I want to ask you this. And thank you, Panther Buddy in Birmingham. I see you saying you love me. I love you too. Thank you so much. Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. If a dude comes to you and says, hey, I me and my homeboy, I did a on him 2 times, but I'm not gay. Yes or no? Do you think that makes you gay or doesn't make you gay? What do you think? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. If your friend tells you that they've done that 2 times, the second time just to make sure they didn't like it, does that make them gay or not gay? Okay, I see a lot of yeses. I see Tanya Williams and William Elliott says, I tell my girl that nigga said, I tell my girl that nigga sings like a bitch. That's funny. Cool Key says yes. Lion Fox says yes. Hebrew Sister says yes. Gucci Davis, yes. Patrina, yes. Dewan Rashada. Ace says bisexual. Okay. I see you guys in here. All right. Sammy says not just gay, very gay. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know exactly where the line is drawn between gay and very gay, but I was curious to know your opinion on that. Okay. And I'm going to say that I tend to agree with those who said yes. I think, I would probably have to work really hard just to do it once, right? Just to even do it one time, you gotta want to do it, right? It has to be. It's not something. I mean, let's just process this for a minute, right? I'm really trying to be fair on this, Because I heard what the brother was saying. One thing that he made one good point that I kind of like, where he came in and he said something like, being gay is a state of being, right? Like I could say I was gay for a day or two, and now I'm not gay. Anybody remember when Richard Pryor said that he slept with a dude for about 3 weeks and then he didn't like it and then he went back to sleeping with women, which is really, by the way, that's some ridiculously weird shit that most normal black people don't do. Like, just so you know, that's like another piece of evidence, strong evidence, that Hollywood is a really debaucherous place. Hollywood is a very weird, debaucherous kind of place. There's a historical context to that going back over 100 years. It's a real nasty, weird, nasty place. Like there's a lot of weird things that happen in Hollywood that don't happen in your neighborhood. I just want y'all to know that, like what they say about the pedophile rings and all that, like that's real. Like that stuff really does happen in LA. And not to mention the experimentation with drugs and crazy things going on sexually and everything else, right? So just think about that before you send your kids off to Hollywood because you want them to be famous. Just know a lot of people sent their kids off to Hollywood, and when their baby got sent back, it wasn't the same person. You didn't get the same motherfucker back that you sent to Hollywood, because Hollywood is a very weird place. And black people fall into that because we are the ultimate on earth when it comes to entertaining white folks. Like we're just the best at it. We live for that shit. We love and live for the idea of singing and dancing in front of white people, rapping in front of white people, but doing the boogies in front of white people and getting paid. And that's what makes a Negro successful. Forget becoming a scientist. Who wants to do that? Forget becoming a businessman. But forget lawyers. Nobody would do that shit. You got to read. Like what black person wants to spend time reading? You just go learn how to sing and dance and rap in front of crowds full of white people. And when they give you money, it doesn't matter what debaucherous shit is attached to that money. You are then defined as a successful Negro because white people have validated you. And as my friend Vicky Dillard likes to say, you what's sad about it is that you're looking for validation from people who ain't even valid. You're looking for validation from people who ain't even got a validation themselves. Like that's kind of crazy to me. So anyway, that's our dream. Our fantasy is, I want to be famous. I want to go to LA and be a star, right? So we do all that. We go beg white people for an opportunity. Then finally they grab us and they give us some money and put us on stage. And then we're like, look at me. I made it. I'm successful. We're giving our speeches. Like, I remember when I came to LA, I only had $100 in my pocket. And look at where I am now. But ain't nobody talking about the fact that you had to suck 1,800 penises in order to get to where you are, that you had to take it up the butt. You have people put stuff in your ear. Like you had to do all kinds of stuff that you can't never tell your grandma about in order for you to get a chance to stand up at the Oscars. Like that's just real. That's just the truth, right? I'm not hating on it. I'm just telling y'all that's what it is. You got to look at the underbelly. What you see when you see successful black people in LA is you're seeing the tip of the iceberg. And I need y'all, smart black people need to go look at the iceberg. Somebody say iceberg in the chat. Say iceberg, right? We're going to be iceberg slim for y'all because I'm about to break down what's under the iceberg. And, and I want to give a thank you. I want to give a thank you to Tank. I want to thank him. I actually want to thank him for making this comment, this very strange, very, very confusing remark, right, to the world, right? I want to thank him. Because when you see a celebrity, when you see a black celebrity kind of say something like that almost sounds like it's from another planet, what they're doing is they're giving you a peek at the iceberg. They're giving you a peek at all the really debaucherous stuff that happens behind closed doors that y'all don't know about. See, R. Kelly, that's lightweight, man. Like that's it. I mean, really, like we have Dream Hampton doing Surviving R. Kelly. By the way, they need to do a documentary called Surviving Dream Hampton because I've heard many, many interesting stories about Dream, but that's for another day. I'm really happy Dave Chappelle broke that shit down and actually called out Dream Hampton because believe me, they could do a documentary about Dream Hampton and they would have a whole lot of interesting stories to tell about her and how she worked her way to the top, whatever that means for you. I'll let you do your own interpretation of that, but her iceberg would be real interesting too. But anyway, R. Kelly is kind of like, that's lightweight stuff, man. Seriously, think about it. I mean, R. Kelly had lots of friends, and his friends who are, household names, they would come to his house and he'd have the little, 16-year-old run around here. Got 14-year-olds in the room over there. We're serving, some middle schoolers in the back room, and these men were and women were taking part in this, right? But that's like the beginning of it. That's like, again, that's y'all getting tips of the iceberg. And sometimes you'll see something that will expose you to a piece of the iceberg, but it's never the full thing. Bill Cosby and all the crazy situations that he was in, right? The crazy situations he was in with women is a little bit of the iceberg. So you're getting the tip. You got the tip of the iceberg. That's the fake shit that they show you to make you look like it's really the American dream. And then they got the iceberg. And sometimes you get the tip of the actual tip of the real iceberg, right? So what Tank really did when Tank made this comment, when he made this comment that was just kind of crazy and weird, and you're like, what? Huh? Wait, you sucked a what twice, and you did a who, and you ain't gay, man. It's okay you can be gay. It's all right. What, you're not? You're right. So you're going to go to your next girlfriend, some African-American woman, some single mom who's 35 years old with 2 kids and a corporate job, who's excited because she gets to sleep with Tank because he's so sexy and blah, 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 blah. And she's like the last 3,000 women that he had sex with. So she wants to be 3,012, right? And she's thinking, so she's like, are you gay? Have you slept with a man? And he'd be like, nah, baby, I ain't gay. I ain't gay. But really, he's thinking, I just said to you, I'm not gay because I only sucked it 2 times. I only did it twice, right? So the thing about it is that comment really kind of, when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's interesting. He's kind of giving a little bit of the secrets of Hollywood that people do not share. When Richard Pryor made that one crazy remark, where Richard Pryor was like, oh, I slept with a man for 3 weeks and I realized I didn't like it, so I went back to women. That was yet another peak at the iceberg. It was a peak of the iceberg. But the thing is that we don't see the iceberg. We see the tip of the iceberg, and the tip of the iceberg looks good, right? The tip of the iceberg looks like a, sexy black man with lots of money, lots of fame, lots of power. A lot of women let their guards down very quickly when they meet men that are very attractive. Lots of men let their guards down very quickly when they meet a woman who's carrying a big butt and a smile. And you don't know where that big butt and that smile is going. You don't know if you're running into another Cardi B. You don't know what kind of woman you're running into who might destroy you and ruin you for life and leave you traumatized and broke. Right? You don't know these things, right? But you're excited because she looks pretty and she puts on a good game, and you're basically falling for that, right? So the same thing is true when you talk about a guy like that. Because here's the thing: the music industry is really interesting in the sense that the music industry breeds mentally ill black men. It breeds mentally ill black men. It does. And what I mean by that is it breeds men who are who've been so spoiled by all the vagina that's been thrown in their direction that some of them literally, I believe some of them get tired of vaginas and they start sleeping with everything. LL Cool J wrote that in his book. I don't know if y'all go read his book. He writes a section in his book where he basically says, they always talk about in the book, they kind of confess to things so that it doesn't become a scandal when it's actually when it breaks out into the public. So they'll talk about it as if it's past tense, when 9 times out of 10 it ain't past tense. Like when Lamar Odom is telling you, oh yeah, I did this with cocaine and I did this with women and I had this sex addiction or whatever. What they're trying to really do in many cases, they're trying to clean up their image and sort of reinvent the perception of a healthy, wholesome, normal lifestyle, when the reality is they're still in that life. That's still who they are, but they're talking about it in past tense so that you won't sort of feel like it's going to be a big scandal when some of those things are revealed, or you'll sort of say, okay, well, I accept that part of you as long as you have come to me and asked for forgiveness. You come to the community and you tried to redeem yourself. You're talking about what you used to be, like the preacher that says, I used to steal money, I used to smoke crack, I used to be a scoundrel, I used to lie. Well, half of those damn preachers are still scoundrels. They still lying, they still smoking crack, they still trying to sleep with your 12-year-old. But they're just pretending like that was the thing of the past so they can clean the slate until the slate gets dirty again. They clean the slate, hoping that it'll never get dirty again so they can get back to making money by feeding you this illusion that they are a person that they're not, right? Like, so for example, when Malik Yoba, God bless him, also for giving you a peek at the iceberg. See, for many years, Malik Yoba was a sex symbol. Many of the ladies in this room, if Malik Yoba was trying to holler at you, your girlfriends would be like, girl, you need to go date him because look at him, Malik Yoba, he blah, blah, blah. You don't understand, though. Malik Yoba been sleeping with transvestites since the 80s, right? And Malik Yoba also, remember this, when a man is given everything that he wants, when a man is in a place and he's not spiritually balanced, he's not able to, he doesn't have discernment. He doesn't have any limitations. Every question he asks, everything he wants is given to him. He never hears the word no, not from a woman, not from his entourage, not from anybody. He gets all the money he wants, all the women he wants, all the drugs he wants, all the liquor he wants. Everywhere he goes, everyone loves him, everyone accepts him, everybody lets him do whatever he wants. Unfortunately, that can create a man whose soul becomes rotten to the absolute core. His soul, his mind, and his body become so rotten that he literally is the absolute worst person in the world for you to try to have a relationship with. That's why I would say to ladies, if you're picking a man, be careful about picking those dudes that have had everything handed to them easy, because men like that, they don't have an incentive to work for your love. They don't have an incentive to abide by anybody's rules. They don't even have the discipline to do that. They're showing up at your doorstep with addictions to drugs, alcohol, sex, gambling, whatever the case may be. And you're trying to turn them into a normal person that's going to fit into a square box. That ain't usually going to happen. That ain't going to happen. That's what creates what I call the Halle Berry problem. If you remember, Halle Berry, beautiful woman, dated a lot of really famous, very powerful men. And these men showed up with some of the trappings that come with getting too much of what you want. You know, like me, the biggest blessing in the world that I had when I was younger was that I was a very mediocre guy. I was a mediocre guy. I didn't have any game. So I had to work for women. I mean, I would think about a girl. I would plot my strategy for 3 months, and then I'd ask her out on a date, and I'd date her for 2-3 months before I even made my move or whatever. I was such a lame. I'm telling you, I'm completely lame, right? But the benefit of that was that when I finally had my opportunities with women, I was really grateful, really appreciative. I put a high value on the opportunity that I had to receive that woman's love, right? And that made me the biggest, you know, I mean, people call me a simp. You're probably right. Maybe I was. I have no idea, because I never learned how to talk to women. I did not have the smoothness and all the game that some of these other guys had, right? Whereas I had a friend who was the opposite. You know, we've known each other since we were in kindergarten, and this dude had every girl. He had girls, and I swear to God, he had girls when he was 5. Little girls were trying to come up and kiss him, and I'm like, damn, I'm 5, I want to kiss. I had to wait till I was like in high school, right? And I didn't understand. All the girls, they just loved him. They chased him around, everything else. And then we got a little bit older. We went to college, and the women are still chasing him around. His dorm room was a revolving door of all different kinds of women coming in off the streets. He's sleeping with half of them unprotected. He becomes an alcoholic as well, you know, because they accept him in any form. So he's basically this drunken guy who doesn't want to work for anything, doesn't want to work for his future. Unfortunately, a stereotypical black man. Unfortunately, not all black men fit this category. We know this, but the stereotype in terms of like what we are when we're at our worst, he kind of fit that, right? But the women just kind of kept coming and coming and coming. And the difference was that it got to the point where he became this really bad catch in a really nice package. You know, like he became a guy, because he was such a good looking man. All the women would fight for him. And even as a 25-year-old, I would say, wow, they're really fighting for this man. And they don't understand that you're going to receive what we used to call this in economics. We call this the winner's curse. The best thing that could ever happen to you is for him to not pick you. Because if he picks you, and I remember he picked one girl, and she was so happy that, oh my God, this is my man. I love him. We're going to be together forever. And she didn't understand he was not built for that. You were literally picking up a rotten soul. You were picking up a black man who was destroyed by the fact that he'd been spoiled his whole entire life. And a human being that's spoiled is a lot like a piece of fruit that's spoiled. You know, imagine if you eat an apple and the apple's been sitting out in the sun for 2 weeks and just in worms and rot and mold is all on the apple. Like some people's souls become like that. When people get spoiled, they become spoiled. Their souls become spoiled like fruit. A good example is this movie called, go watch this movie. It's called Dorian Gray. Dorian Gray. Go watch that movie. Dorian Gray is like that. Dorian Gray is about a young guy who was really handsome, who was into some debaucherous shit, and all the women loved him, and he would just go, he could get it from his girlfriend, from the girlfriend's mama. He could get it from anybody. And he got it. And what happened was that that when you're getting all you want at this level, you have to go to higher and higher levels to maintain that high. So first, you're getting all the pretty girls want to sleep with you. That gets old. Then you start doing threesomes. That gets old. Then you start doing orgies every day. That gets old. Then you start going out having random sex with all kinds of people. That gets old. Then you start experimenting with men. That gets old. Then next thing you know, you're into all kinds of other stuff that we won't even talk about, right? But well, that's kind of what happened in Dorian Gray. And what happened was, on the outside, he became what a lot of our celebrities are. On the outside, he was still this handsome man. He was a dreamboat. All the women wanted him. But what happened was, on the inside, because they had this painting, his soul was trapped in this painting. And in every year that he got older, he never got old. He always stayed attractive and perfect and everything else on the outside. So the women loved him, but his soul was rotting. The painting started having maggots coming out of the eyes, blood, and on his face, like the painting was showing how his soul was rotting because he was getting everything that he wanted. And so sometimes for a man, when he gets everything he wants, like say an R&B singer like a Tank, it can rot his soul. Like these addictions that he forms over time by constantly having whatever he wants, whenever he wants it, makes him a very bad person to try to form a normal, healthy relationship with. So when I hear Tank talking, and he's up here talking about, if I suck a man off 2 times, I'm not gay. That kind of tells that's like a peak at the iceberg in terms of not just about Tank. This ain't really about Tank. It's really about that industry and the types of soul corruption that occurs within the music industry and within hip hop. Most of the most famous artists, the artists you respect, the ones you love, the sex symbols, ladies that you got out here, the men that you think are the greatest because they're in your favorite movie. Unfortunately, a lot of these men have a whole other life that you will never understand. like they live in a life that's just out of control. And it comes from the fact that Hollywood encourages all of that. Hollywood encourages, they look at Black folks and our traditional conservative values as being old fashioned, as being backward, as being, almost like we're a bunch of Neanderthals. And they're like, oh, you need to be progressive. So you need to do this, you need to do that. Pharrell, we know all the Black women love you. Go put on this banana dress and then call this the new masculinity, because Black people are so stupid. They're going to believe it because they think that you're famous and you're great and because you're on the cover of magazines, because Black people worship that shit. Black people worship whatever Negro white people decide to put out in front of them because they think that that's the definition of success. And so it took me some time to understand this. I did not figure these things out until I was in my 30s. So I understand why a lot of Black folks don't get it. But what I figured out is, like I said, man, we got the wrong definition of success. Because a lot of the people that you think are your most successful Black people are the biggest failures in your whole goddamn community. Some of the people that you think are the most successful Black people on earth, the ones that you celebrate and the ones that you show to your children, they're like, oh my God, I want to be like that one day. These people are gone. These are not people that you would want in your family, not in your household. You bring them in your house, they're going to molest your children. You bring them into your life, they will destroy your life. You date somebody like that, they're going to give you all kinds of AIDS. Seriously. And I'm not saying that these are bad people. They're very talented, very smart. You have to be smart. If you're going to be a Hollywood actor, whatever, you got to be intelligent. You got to work hard for that. But I'm telling you, a lot of times, and in fact, actually, if y'all recall, for example, there was this agent, this Hollywood agent, a Jewish guy who got in trouble with the Me Too movement, because he liked Black women. And what he would do is he would find Black women who had this big fantasy about being a Hollywood star, and he would take them out to fancy dinners and take them to the Oscars, and they'd meet all these famous people. Then he'd get Halle Berry on the phone and be like, oh, hey, talk to Halle. And the actress would be like, oh my God, this is Halle Berry. Oh, I admire you so much, right? And basically what he was doing was he was kind of setting them up for the next stage of the relationship. The next stage of the relationship is he would take you to the office, and then he would pull his genitals out. And he'd be like, you take care of me, I'll take care of you. Well, let's just be real. There's a whole lot of people. Whoopi Goldberg said it. She gave y'all a peek of the iceberg. Whoopi Goldberg said she knows a whole lot of women who slept with ugly men so they could be famous. A lot of your favorite Black actresses and actors out in Hollywood slept with some ugly men in order to have that big opportunity. And the thing is, you think that that's success. This is what you want. Like, this is what you consider to be like the big break. Like, you're sitting back envying this person and admiring this person and saying, my God, I wish I could be where that person is. But the truth is, you ain't about that life. You know, if you, I don't know, I mean, I don't know how many of y'all would go put something, you know, some nasty gangrene infected penis in your mouth in order to be famous. How many are yes or no? Yes or no? If some old nasty dude wanted you to get on your knees and kind of make some things happen in order for you to get a starring role in a movie, would you take that opportunity? Would you be starring in that movie, or would you say, I'm good? Which would you do? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. Because the thing is, you got to understand that the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is what you see. You see the glam, you see the fame, you see the fortune, you see the power, but you're not seeing the iceberg. The iceberg is very ugly. The iceberg is very, very gross. So when I saw what Tank said, I didn't so much get mad at Tank per se. I mean, if that's his truth, that's his truth. I also think he actually made an interesting argument, like, I guess you could say you tried something and then you didn't like it, and now you're not gay anymore because you tried being gay and you didn't enjoy it. I'm like, okay, I could see that, but it didn't align with who I am personally in terms of understanding, like, well, what would make you get to the point where you're even desiring a man's, you know what, in your mouth that much that you're even going to experiment with that? I don't need to try that to know that that's not for me. Right. Like, I don't need, but what that speaks to also is another thing that happens a lot in entertainment is there is a lot of encouragement for experimentation with drugs and alcohol. Like, not just basic drugs, weed or a little bit of liquor, but you talk about cocaine, you're talking about LSD and things like that. And what these drugs do is they do make you open and vulnerable. They love Percocet. That's why you got rappers like Future. Literally, he made a song where the chorus was Molly Percocet, Molly Percocet, Molly Percocet, right? That's marketing. That's marketing to your subconscious mind. And that's why it's very dangerous, because they're sort of normalizing things that are not part of our culture, that are not a part of who we are, right? And so ultimately what these drugs do is they do open people up to doing things that they would not normally do if they're in their right mind. So ultimately, I think that this whole idea, like, I'm going to experiment with what it's like to sleep with a dude, most dudes in here, I'm willing to bet you, unless that's who you are, like, don't get me wrong, if you are a dude who is, attracted to the same gender, I want to be clear, I don't hate you. And you're welcome here. Like, I hope you get that. I really do, because I don't want anybody to think this is any kind of homophobic discussion or, oh my God, gay people are bad. I don't rock with that, because I don't, my position is like non-interference. Just like with the elections, I told you I'm not voting for the Democrats or the Republicans. Well, when it comes to like what you do in your bedroom, that's really your business. I'm not here to judge, because sex is real. It happens. People do it. Like, that's how you got here. You got here because everybody got here. Patrick and London Lowe and Taj Mahal, you all got here because somebody decided to have sex. Now, are you the London Lowe that I know, who's the great singer? Because I'm gonna tell you, there's a great singer out of Chicago named London Lowe. I love London Lowe. Tell me if you're the real. I don't think you're London Lowe, because she spells her name L-O, not L-O-W. So I don't think you're her. But either way, y'all should know about London Lowe. Look her up. She's really, really cool. Really, really good. You know London, right? Yes. So anyway, I want to ask you guys if you could do me a small favor real quick. Can you please hit the thumbs up button real quick on the count of 3? Please hit the thumbs up button. And also, it's really important that you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. So on the count of 3, I'd like for you to hit the thumbs up button, the notification bell, and type Black Power in the chat to let me know that you did it. So 1, 2, 3. Hit the thumbs up button, notification bell, type Black Power in the chat to let me know that you did it. I'll wait for you guys to type Black Power in the chat. Okay, I see Brevin. Thank you so much. I see Kev C, and Dave Burton. Anita Watkins, nice to meet you. I guess you must be my play cousin. Mike Cosby. L Brown says, so Lisa Ray is right. Those men were almost Lisa Ray. Lord have mercy. The old Lisa Ray. Let's see, Miss J and Big T and Kate and Dewan. I just want to acknowledge you and say your names. Just let you know how much I appreciate you guys, and how much respect I have for you. And so anyway, so what I'll do is kind of close on this. By the way, I'll be in New York on Sunday. So if you want to come to our New York event, go to drboycenewyork.com. That's drboycenewyork.com. We're going to be doing 8 hours of investment training. So if you want to learn to invest for your family, if you want to learn how to turn your child to a millionaire, if you want to learn how to build a family bank, We're going to cover all that. And also I'm going to have Mary Dean, the Wall Street lawyer. She's going to come in and speak. Another brother named Casterly, who invented a credit repair app, is going to come in and talk about how he's building that business and give you some tips on that. But then also I'm going to show you guys how to form investment clubs and how to build economies in your own space. So as you know, in the Black Business School, we do it very, very well. So feel free to do that. If you can't make it, if you want to make it out, go to drboycenewyork.com. If you can't make it out, but you still want to benefit from the lectures from the previous city are recorded right now on the Black Business School. You can go to drboycemasterclass.com. That's drboycemasterclass.com. I guarantee you it'll make a huge difference in your life. And if you're not happy, we'll give you a complete refund. So there's no risk to you whatsoever. So feel free to go to drboycemasterclass.com. All right. So a couple quick thoughts I had in terms of Tank. One, I think that one aspect of slave culture that we have to confront as Black people, and I told you guys to just say no when it comes to slave culture, is there is a huge obsession, particularly within entertainment, for Black folks in terms of talking about, just constantly talking about sex. Like, I know sex is real, and a lot of y'all, probably horny people probably in this room right now. It's okay. Like that, all that's okay. I'm not judging that. But when I look at entertainment, I don't know if you guys know this, but if you give our people, our entertainers, a choice between having an intellectual discussion versus having a discussion about sex, it seems like sex is always at the top of the pile. Like they're always wanting to talk about something freaky and crazy when it comes to sex. And when we've got real issues that we have to address, like you can't just spend all your time pleasure seeking, right? Extreme pleasure seeking behavior is very unproductive. And that's kind of what you end up seeing is, I'm kind of thinking like, I imagine a brother like Tank is smart enough where, maybe there's some other things you can talk about. Maybe some things you can do for the community. Maybe you're working with 10 other celebrities to go build schools in the hood or whatever it is. I think this constant conversation about sex, I feel like that's a part of slave culture in a way, because I think that in entertainment, there is a mass consistent promotion of irresponsible sex. Like there's a consistent promotion of irresponsible sexual behavior, baby daddy, baby mama-ism. A lot of people, going, just sleeping with whoever, wherever, all the time, ain't thinking about where their stuff has been. I see like posts about cuffing season and all that stuff, which I had to go look that up. Like, what is that? And I guess it's where you just swap out boyfriends and swap out girlfriends every single year. And that's fine. I'm not judging that. But I think that when you do the math on that kind of thing, it is kind of an interesting thing when you correlate that, for example, to the fact that Black women actually are the fastest growing group of HIV infections in the country. And some of that may come from this idea that, that we're sort of promoting this idea that you should be letting any man off the street into your house, into your bedroom, into your body that doesn't even know you just because he's cute and he got swag and he's handsome, because you saw people doing this on a BET show, right? You were watching some BET show where a single Black like Mary Jane, being Mary Jane. First scene I saw him being Mary Jane. This is not me being self-righteous or judgmental. I don't judge what you do in the bedroom. Let's just be clear about that. I'm just giving you something to think about. First scene I ever watched, I watched Being Mary Jane that starred Gabrielle Union. Beautiful, wonderful actress, very talented. But I watched the first scene of that show. And let me tell you what I saw on this show that really kind of concerned me as a Black man, as a real Black man. I'm not talking about these little bitchy fuck boys that are out. I'm talking about I'm a real man. That's what I am. My daddy raised me to be a real man. And I know that being a real man means that you understand that you can't be a Black man without respecting and loving the Black woman. That's something I'm committed to. But I watched this scene on Being Mary Jane. And the first scene was she's sleeping at 2:30 in the morning, right? And she hears somebody's knocking at the door, and you're like, who is it? Who's knocking at her door at this hour of night? And she's waking up like, and you hear, let me in. And you're like, and so she's like, well, who's coming to my door? And she's peeking out the window, and then she goes and looks through the peephole, and she opens the door because it's a guy that she knows. And basically, the guy comes in and he's like staggering drunk. He's holding a bottle or something. He's been drinking, he's been out all night drinking. And she's like, Harold, what are you doing here? Where you been? He's like, I just wanted to come over for a little bit and da-da-da. And she's like, you ain't called me in 3 weeks, right? So this is a man who's coming to her house at 2:30 in the morning and he's drunk and he hasn't called her in 3 weeks. And I'm sitting there like, oh wow, damn, like what's this all about, right? I'm trying to get into it. I was trying to be open and trying to understand like stuff that people are consuming on TV. And and first she's like telling him like you ain't got no right because you've been gone and you ain't called me and blah blah. And he's like, yeah, but I'm sorry, but blah 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 blah. And then at one moment he says something that apparently gets her to let her guard down. And the next thing you know, they're having sex, right? The next thing you know, they're in the bedroom, they're getting it on. There's this hot, passionate love scene or whatever. Again, I'm not judging that, but what that really said to me is I was sitting there, I was thinking about that. I was like, okay, so what you're kind of saying to young women is that it's okay for a man to not call you for 3 weeks, show up at your house at 2:30 in the morning, half drunk, and he gonna get some ass that night. There's no penalty whatsoever for the fact that he's disrespected you. There's no penalty for the fact that he has not called you in weeks. There's no penalty for the fact that he came over to your house at what your grandma or your mama would consider to be an inappropriate hour. There's no penalty for the fact that he's disrespected you by showing up drunk. No penalty for that whatsoever. And what you're doing is you're sending this message that your body should be easy, fair play for anybody. Your body's like a damn subway station where anybody can come through, and there's no charge for admission, right? Like anybody can just come through whenever they want. Now, sure, Star Mac, you're right. It is fiction. It is absolutely fiction. But Black people, studies show that Black people follow entertainers and follow media more than any other group of people. Did you know Black people watch more television than any other group in America? Did y'all know that? Did you know Black people, studies show that Black people are more influenced by entertainers than any other group in America? Did y'all know this? Because white folks know this. White corporations know this about you. That's why they use the entertainers to sell you products. That's why they put so much money behind Tyler Perry Studios and BET and other networks, because they're like, oh yeah, these Negroes will sit around and waste their whole lives in front of a TV set, and we can just hypnotize them and brainwash them and program them all day long to go buy products, and give us their $1.3 trillion every year so we can go put our kids through college and build wealth for our families. Like they know these things about you. Like that's part of your slave culture. It's your slave programming. Right. So at the end of the day, this might start off as fiction, but it's not fiction for very long, because I've seen women who live that way. I mean, it's not making fun of them. I'm not disrespecting them. I mean, the disrespect should be on the man who behaved this way toward a woman and thought this was okay. But one thing that I feel that young women don't ever learn, because a lot of them don't have daddies growing up to teach them differently, is that a man typically treats you the way you tell him to treat you. You set the standard on what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. That's why you can have a woman who's as beautiful as Beyonce who gets no respect at all from certain men, because she set the bar too damn low. When you let a man come up in your house with dirty feet because he's a nasty dog and been out everywhere, dirty feet, dirty penis, half drunk, 2:30 in the morning, ain't called you in 3 weeks, and there's no penalty at all, like he's getting the same respect, same treatment that you would give to your husband, then what incentive on earth do you think that man would ever have to ever think that he wanted to marry you one day? Like he's not gonna. Why would he marry you if he can get everything that he wants as easy as he wants it? Right? If he can get the husband treatment with no effort whatsoever, no penalty, no cost, no nothing. If you go to a store and everything in that damn store is given away to you for free, then you will show up at the store with no money in your pocket, and you will be offended if they ever ask you to pay the fair market value for the thing that they're offering you that day. So at the end of the day, and this goes for men too, really, actually, it's actually true just in general, but I'm really talking about this specifically because it was a man and a woman. But basically, you teach people how to treat you. Right. And there was a time where, where again, I remember growing up and I remember thinking, no, like what woman in her right mind would just let me come over and do whatever I wanted without setting some sort of standard or expectation for me to get to the good stuff? Well, because then as a man, you're like, well, if the good stuff is that easy and that cheap to get, then why am I working so hard to get it? My friends are calling me a simp because I'm working so hard to earn a woman's love, when they're telling you that a woman's love ain't worth shit. They give it away like nickels on the street. They give it away like old dirty tampons. They give it away like the same way you give away garbage. So why in the world would you ever feel that you have to earn the love of a woman when people tell